Let's just notice that your growth and expansion in life is designed to evolve who you are. And as it evolves who you are, it's going to give you lessons along the way. Welcome to the Do the Impossible podcast. I'm Jason with Jason Drees Coaching. Don't forget to join me every Monday at 10 a.m. Central for my Monday Mindset Reset. You can sign up at mondaymindsetreset.com. Today, why all the haters? Why all the haters? Are you encountering any haters? It's an interesting process, growing a business, social media, expansion. It's interesting because it's great when we get the positive feedback. But when we don't get positive feedback, and especially in the social media world where the attention span, the average attention span of a person these days is in seconds, how are you handling your process of growth and expansion, your process of success with the haters out there in the world? The haters are out there, and sometimes you may be seeing them, and you may be seeing communication from them, you may be seeing comments from them, or you may not actually be seeing them, and you may be fearing seeing from them. What do I mean? Like, you can either be getting some haters out there, or you can be fearing the process, the potential possibility of not being liked, not being accepted, not being appreciated. Because if you're growing and you are pushing the envelope of what your potential is by trying new things, talking about new ways, sharing new ways, doing things that haven't been done before, there's going to be people that don't agree with you. And the people that don't agree with you, what do you do with that? Like, what do you do with that? Is that impacting you? Is that affecting you? Because if you are playing life at your potential, if you are playing life at the level you're meant to play out, if you're leaning into your process and you are aiming at what's powerful and what's growing and what challenges you, if you are growing at that level and tackling the challenges at that level, you're going to be running into some resistance along the way. How is that going? I'm leaning into resistance myself. I'm leaning into the process and I'm getting resistance. Now, resistance can show up as misalignment. Resistance can also show up as negative emotions along my path. And sometimes those negative emotions along your path are actually there to tell you that your path needs an adjustment because you're currently not on the right path. It could also mean that you are on the right path and you need to modify your approach or your perspective. Sometimes those emotions we're feeling as you're walking your path can literally be the feelings of expansion as you're growing and expanding. I'm feeling a lot of those right now. I actually started to hire a new marketing company to refocus how I'm doing social media. The goal is to continue to expand my reach, grow my group coaching programs, my coaching programs bigger to impact more people, create more success, create more money. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm adjusting the path that I'm going. And this one path is starting with more marketing on YouTube and TikTok and short form marketing. And it was really interesting is like, as this stuff started to come up, as we started to launch it, like literally as that program was going to launch like a week ago. And basically this company I'm using, specializes in podcast marketing. And I hired them because the stuff they do looks great and what they're producing is awesome. And I know it's going to increase visibility. Now, I don't know if it's going to get 1 million views overnight, but I do know without a fact, it's going to create more visibility than I had previously. And the interesting thing that's coming up is that as I was going to record my podcast episodes last week, I started to feel some heaviness because most of the episodes prior to now, I literally just hit record and just recorded from pure flow, a session of like 20 minutes. And then when I went to go to the Pure Flow last week, I felt this heaviness around there. And that heaviness I started feeling was like, why is there this heaviness? Why am I feeling resistance? Because I'm flowing these sessions. It was so great. It didn't work great. it felt so great before, but it's not so great now. Like, what's going on? And when I sat with it a little bit, I realized that the heaviness I was feeling about flowing and creating more podcasts was actually about my fear of the expansion that was coming. Do you ever have fear of expansion? Like and it can be fear of success. And it's like, well, how is fear of success? Like, that's ridiculous. I am working all the time to create success. Why am I fearing it? It's ridiculous. But that's human beings, like, we don't make sense, right, how we operate. But it's very common, and I see this a lot in a high level. I see this in everybody. When you reach a new threshold of expansion, there's a feeling that goes through, like your comfort zone expands, your success expands. And a lot of times it's a pucker moment where you're like, oh my God, am I going to go bigger? Am I going to not go bigger? So then that expansion can show up as fear. And for me, it was showing up as like, oh my God, my subconscious mind was starting to run a fear pattern, and it was starting to prevent the high level of success and flow that I was doing in the podcast recordings, because that was the primary vehicle that was going to increase my expansion. Just think about that. Like, I was working hard and focused on growing my business and using my podcast, which had been going great. I hired a marketing company to help me even more. And then right when it went to launch, I started to feel self-sabotage creeping in. Now, fortunately, I'm very aware of myself and my process with all the coaching that I've done. And I'm very aware, based on the mindset, I operate in this frame where I learn things very quickly. And that's a mindset that I created intentionally over time. So if you want to create a mindset that puts you in a position to react the way you want to react in certain situations, then by all means, create that mindset. If you don't know how to create that mindset, that's where coaching comes in. Coaching teaches you how to shift your mindset. And because I've been coaching for so long, I can shift my own mindset. So I've created a mindset that shows up. So when I have these times of challenge, instead of self-sabotaging, like I've done in the past, instead of shutting down, I actually solve and learn and break through. And I realized that what was really going on was another double down. Like, hey, you're about to hit go on this system that's going to expand you. The part of my brain that wants to grow my business is going, that's great. The part of me that cares about everyone else thinks going, oh my God, that's more people. They're going to be worried about what I think. Or more people that I could be worried about what I think. So is that a challenge for me to get more negative comments on YouTube that I don't want? Because there's going to be comments, because the content I do is really high level. And if you don't understand my content, you won't get it. And if you won't get it, you're not going to understand it. And that's what the haters are. And if they're haters or people they don't know, because what is a hater, really? A hater is someone who doesn't understand. And they're throwing a judgment on you based on a couple second situation. But if we actually dive into the hater, the person that's throwing the hateful comments, do you think that's really an aligned, healthy, happy person, or a person who has so many of their own problems going on, they can't help but snap at other people throughout the day through this interface, non-human interface of just blasting through the internet, right? The people that are throwing those comments out there are not people you'd want to hang out in the first place. And people you want to hang out with in the first place, what they say really doesn't matter. But your success as you grow, like everybody on this planet, we're here to experience life. And part of that life experience is growing and expanding. And as you grow, your impact will grow. Your exposure will grow. Your frequency will grow. So you are going to be exposed to more and more people. How are you accepting the growth of your exposure to other people? Are you leaned into that, or are you fearing it? Because if you're fearing your exposure to more people, you're blocking your success by resisting it. And I see this happen a lot in coaching, where someone will talk to me, they're working hard to create success, and they're taking actions, but at the same time, they're afraid of some of the side effects of it, so therefore they're resisting themselves, and they're basically pushing and pulling at the same time. It doesn't work. So let's just notice that your growth and expansion in life is designed to evolve who you are. And as it evolves who you are, it's going to give you lessons along the way. And some of those lessons can show up as fear. Some of those lessons show up as doubt. But today what we're talking about is like, are you open to the growth and expansion? Now, when I talk to clients, they'll say, yeah, I want to make more money. I want my business to grow. But if you're open to growth and expansion, there's all parts of growth. There's the fun part where you make money and people say nice things about you. There's also when things don't go well, and there's times when things break, and there's times when there's problems that come up. It's all part of growth. So are you actually open to all the parts of it, or are you trying to craft success in a specific way? Because if you're trying to craft success in a specific way and it's not working, it means you're resisting part of the process. Like here, for example, I've talked to clients and I say, how many of you would like to grow your income 10x, 10 times? How many of you would like to grow your income 10 times in the next 90 days? And when I ask that question, everybody's hand goes up. Then the next question I ask is, would you like 10 times more emails in the next 10 days? Would you like 10 times more customer problems in the next 10 days? Because when you ask that question, all the hands come down. So people want the 10x growth in income, but they don't want the 10x growth in problems. So in that situation, if you're wanting only part of the success and not open to the challenges of the obstacles of solving this success, you're literally resisting the process of success, because you are like the lens that life flows through. And if you block part of that lens, you're blocking the flow of life, and you're blocking your potential, and you're blocking what's possible. So the thing is, you have to welcome it all. You have to welcome the growth. You have to welcome the overwhelm. You have to welcome the stress. Because the growth, the overwhelm, the stress, that is part of your process to evolve you into an elevated version of you. And that elevated version of you is the one that has the result, that knows what to do, that has the higher levels of connections and community and audience. Doesn't that make sense? So you could just do something as simple as say, hey, I allow all the growth in my life and everything that comes with it. We could do that as a repeat after me. I take full ownership of my life and everything in it. I am excited about growing and expanding my life and business. I am open to the side effects of growing and expanding my life and my business. I know there's always a part of life that's going to challenge me. I do not resist when I'm challenged, because the challenges are the transformation points. And the more open I am to those challenges, the more aligned I am with those challenges, the faster I will grow and transform through those challenges into the version I was supposed to become. Does that make sense? I think it makes a lot of sense. And I'm having these moments because my exposure, my growth is going quickly right now. So I'm noticing this like little gut check of like, okay, am I ready? Yeah. Am I ready? Yeah. Are you noticing any gut checks right now? Because if you're not aware of that gut check and you double down and you push through that resistance, you'll get stuck in that same container and be running that same problem again until you break through that next pass. So, do you understand that you are on a path of growth? You are going to grow and expand. There are people that are going to like you. There are people that are not going to like you. You cannot control other people. You can only control you. Now, I've had clients who get mad at me, or people who say that my content isn't any good. And I've also had people that say I've changed their life in one phone call. And I've had way more people give me positive feedback than negative. Does the negative feedback hurt? Yes. Do I want everybody to like me? Yes. Is that realistic? No. Because I'm not a fit for everybody. There are clients out there that'll work with me and no one else. And there are clients out there that will never work with me in a million years. That's what the world is like. You have your own audience. So are you speaking to your audience? Or are you trying to speak to everyone's audience? Because you're not Coca-Cola or Walmart, neither am I. So the thing you want to remember is that your audience wants to hear what you have to say. And if you start to struggle and be challenged by this growth or the fear of negative feedback, what I do in those situations is I remember that even though somebody may have said a comment I didn't like, or didn't understand me. I can say, oh my God, let that affect me and try to please everybody. Or I can understand the truth in that some people are never going to get me no matter what I do. Some people are never going to like me. They're never going to understand my content. And that's just the way it is. The people that are meant to hear from me are going to hear from me. And the people that are meant to understand me will, because if I continue scrolling that same comment thread, it also has comments of like, this is amazing. Don't stop what you're doing. And doing what you're doing, that's when you're doing amazing things and when you're pushing the envelope, that's what's possible, and teaching people to do things a different way that's ever been done before. Some people aren't going to get it because they're not ready for it yet. That's not a reflection of you. If they're hating on you, that's a reflection of them. It's a reflection of them. So if you have haters coming up, remember, the hate that they're spewing at you actually has nothing to do with you. It's actually a representative of who they are at this moment in time and what they're going through, because they're unable to show up in a balanced way, or they're the type of person you would never even get along with if you weren't over the internet, right? So when you lean into your path, when you push the envelope, you will get haters. You will get doubters. Because if you're not getting haters, you're not getting doubters, you're not being seen. So the first thing to do is to make sure you're open to being seen. Because I'll tell you, the people that I've changed their lives in one phone call or one live event or from reading my book, I love the feeling. It feels amazing to have your life work impact somebody in a positive way. So what I remind myself of is that the work I do changes the lives of some people. And if I let the haters stop me and I stopped what I was doing for fear of what they were saying, then all of a sudden the people who benefit from me wouldn't get the benefit. The lives wouldn't be changed. So the fact is, I'm willing to take whatever abuse comes my way from the people who don't get me to help those that do. Because those that do, I will change their life. I will make a difference. I will build relationships. I will do what I'm supposed to do. So, what can you learn from this? Are you leaned into your path right now? Are you open to your path right now? Where are you noticing resistance to your path? What does that resistance look like? That resistance looks like negative emotion. It looks like the feeling of expansion. Could be fear, stress, worry, doubt. Could be uncertainty. If you're starting to feel any of that in your process, in your path, pay attention. Notice that, journal a little bit, uncover that. And you could simply start with repeat after me, of just saying, I'm open to the growth that's in front of me. But start looking around that process right now to make sure you're not resisting it, because if you are in resistance to that expansion, all the work you're doing for success is being wasted. You've got to get open. You've got to get into line. I hope this was helpful. Join me on our next episode when we continue to dive into the evolution of greatness and success, unlocking the code of greatness within you. If you're ready to dive deeper into uncovering any resistance that runs in you, go to freeintrosession.com. That's freeintrosession.com. And get a complimentary strategy session with my team to start to pull you into alignment so success happens faster than ever before. Have an amazing day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.